Guys, I am currently coming to you from the oldest cruise ship that I have ever been on. Now this is Royal Caribbean's Rhapsody of the Seas, and she was launched way back in 1997. So I know what you're thinking. A ship launched in 1997 will probably be pretty old-fashioned and maybe even out of date. Well, let me answer that question for you by giving you a full ship tour of this exact ship. The way this video is going to work is we're going to go all the way down to the bottom, cover every single venue on every single deck until we end up back up here on the top. So yeah, without further ado, let me tell you a little bit more about the ship and then I'll see you down at the bottom to get started. Now it's definitely worth noting that although this is one of the smallest cruise ships on offer from Royal Caribbean, it's still a pretty decent sized ship. Now lengthwise, Rhapsody of the Seas is 915 foot long, which means that she's 3 times as long as the Statue of Liberty is high. From a capacity point of view, this ship is capable at double capacity of holding 1,998 guests, or at full capacity, 2,416 guests. Now add to that the figure of 765 crew members, and you start to realise she's not a small ship at all. Now, Rhapsody was built back in 1997 and refurbished in 2012. So what you're going to see here is an older cruise ship from Royal Caribbean that's been revamped and been updated over time. Now let's get started with venue number 1, which is down on deck 4 of the ship, and it's the Edelweiss dining room. Now this is the primary main dining room on board Rhapsody of the Seas, and you can see here it's quite a large, quite impressive venue that's split over 2 levels, so deck 4 and heading up to deck 5. Now the way that this works is that everybody sitting downstairs will have chosen a dining time, so with Royal Caribbean you can either book the early dinner slot around 5:30 or 6 o'clock, the late dinner slot around 7:30 or 8 o'clock, or you can choose My Time dining. Now if you opt for My Time dining, you'll be sitting on this raised gallery section up on deck 5, and My Time dining essentially means that you can arrive at the dining room whenever you're hungry or whenever you're ready for dinner. The only negative is that you'll probably have to queue if you don't make a reservation. Now the total capacity of this dining room is 1,090 people, so yeah, about half the capacity of the ship can dine in here at any one time, so a pretty impressive venue. Now coming out of the dining room, the next venue to look at is the Centrum, or the main atrium. Now this goes all the way from deck 4, which is where I am with the camera at the moment, and if we pan up, you'll see all the way up to natural daylight at the very top of the ship. Now at the end of this video, I'll show you what that looks like when you take the elevator from here all the way to the top to give you a feel for just how impressive the scale of this space actually is. Now you'll find during the day there'll be live entertainment taking place on this stage. Now whether that be live singers, a live band, there's usually something always going on down here. Now as a result of that, we hit our first bar venue on the ship, and that's the R Bar. Now directly beside the R Bar you've got Next Cruise. So this is where you can go on board if you'd like to purchase a future cruise certificate, or if you'd like to book a future cruise. Now the advice that I always give to people is maybe not to jump into booking a cruise while on board, but that's why these cruise lines offer future cruise certificates, so you can obtain the same benefits of booking a cruise, but when you go home you can select which cruise to apply your voucher to. Now directly opposite the other side of the atrium you've got Royal Caribbean Online. Now this is essentially the onboard internet cafe, where if your devices aren't working or if you maybe don't have your laptop with you, you can come in here with your internet package and surf the net. Now moving up onto deck 5, the back section of the ship on deck 5 is the Edelweiss dining room, so we are going to start right in the middle with shore excursions and guest services. Now you can see those 2 desks here, shore excursions being on the left and then guest services being further forward there. The only thing that I would say about this space is that you're looking down directly into that main atrium, and if you've got live entertainment down there, it can be quite difficult to fully interpret what's going on at guest services if it's a loud live band. Now, moving towards the front of the ship, let's look at Casino Royale. Now, one thing that stood out to me really clearly with this casino is that it definitely applies the Vegas principle, where there isn't actually any natural daylight coming into here. Now, Size-wise, this casino is way bigger than what I've seen on some much larger cruise ships. I think there would be pretty much anything that you like to do in the casino will be available in here, including if you just like to sit down and have a drink at the bar. Now, whether you enjoy playing the slots, whether you enjoy playing the tables, they have got such a huge selection in here. And the other point to mention is that you're welcome to smoke in most parts of the casino. As a result of that, there's additional ventilation units in here, but it does make it quite a smoke-filled environment at times. Now, moving to the very front of this deck, we hit our first live entertainment venue in theatre form, and that's the Broadway Melodies Theatre. Now, in here is where you'll get performances from the Royal Caribbean show team and also any guest entertainers that are on board. Now, this venue I found particularly interesting because you can see here that the upstairs section is really far back, and it sort of loops round both sides of the theatre instead of the more traditional upstairs coming way further forward and being on top of those ground floor seats. Now, it is worth thinking about the type of seating that's available in this theatre. You'll have seen there that if you're sitting on the base floor, you're going to get individual seats with armrests, but if you choose to sit further back, or if you choose to sit in these raised gallery sections, then you actually get two-seater or three-seater, more like sofa-style chairs. So depending on what type of experience you're looking for, whether you're on holiday as a couple, on holiday on your own, or you'd rather just sit in individual chairs, then bear that in mind when you're coming into the theatre. Now, there's also a section in here for those who have booked into suite category rooms and also those who are in the highest tiers of the Crown and Anchor loyalty scheme. Now, moving up a deck, so deck 6, we're going to begin in the Shall We Dance bar. Now, this bar was one of my favourite venues on board. It's right at the very back of the ship, and this is where you'll find one of the largest dance floors on the entire ship. Now, in here, you've got loads of different types of seating, whether you are a large group, whether you're a small group, or to be honest, whether you're solo travelling. So, yeah, this venue, I think, is designed to suit the majority of passengers. And one really nice thing about this venue is the artwork that they've chosen. I think all the artwork really harks back to what cruise life must have been like years and years ago. And you can see that in the choice of the pictures, the choice of the paintings, even down to little things like the door handles to go into this venue are actually a traditional ocean liner that's been cut into the metal, but I won't show you that here. I'll leave you to see that for yourself. Now, in the back corner of the Shall We Dance bar, you'll find the Diamond Club. Now, this venue is always locked off unless you're a Diamond member, so if you're at those top tiers of the loyalty programme, then you would be able to access this area here. Now, from the side you can see in, and it looks as though they've got like all day snacks and tea and coffee available in there. Now, leaving the Shall We Dance bar and coming slightly further forward, we've got Giovanni's Table, which is the first speciality dining restaurant that we're going to look at today. Now, this restaurant usually, I'm led to believe, would normally be an Italian restaurant, but while I was on board, the ship was cruising out of Israel, so this restaurant was a designated kosher restaurant. Now, what that meant is that you could only dine in here if you had specified at the point of booking your cruise that you required kosher meals. Obviously, I hadn't due to the fact that I don't follow that religion, so I can't review that restaurant for you. Now, the next speciality dining restaurant is actually just right next door, and this is Tots Grille. Now, this is a restaurant that I do really enjoy with Royal Caribbean, and this is the onboard New York steakhouse. Now, I think this is a concept that Royal Caribbean do pull off really well. The one bit of advice that I would give you if you are looking to dine at Chops is just to make sure that you make your reservation here before you board the ship. Now, you don't have to choose a specific night that you're going to dine in the restaurant, but just make sure that you buy your meal in advance because you'll save sometimes a fair bit of money doing that versus buying on board. Now, the next venue is Schooner Bar. Now, this is a fantastic venue on board, and you'll get quite a good beer selection in here, and to be honest, just in general, quite a good selection of drinks from this bar. Now, the whole theming in here, I really enjoy, because you've got all the old sails from the old sailing ships, and you've also got a piano. Now, one of my top tips if you are cruising on Rhapsody is to try and get in here nice and early to secure one of those bar stools that actually allow you to rest your drink on the side of the piano and have a conversation with the pianist and have a conversation with your friends. It's a lovely, lovely place to hang out. Now, moving forward, we're back in that main atrium area. Now, the first section here is the Loyalty Ambassador desk, so if you have any questions on Crown and Anchor, then you can come here and the representative who's working will be more than happy to answer any of your questions. And directly beside the Loyalty desk, you've got the photo gallery. So while you're on board, there'll be onboard photographers going around, taking your photo and trying to sell them to you. Now, this is where you can come to view your photos. Obviously, there's none out at the moment, but throughout your cruise, this will change to be guest photographs. And directly beside the photo gallery, you've got Latte-Tudes. Now, if anyone's cruised on the larger Oasis class ships, then this is the smaller ship version of Cafe Promenade. So you can go in there for coffee all day, and all of the snacks in there are included in your cruise fare. Now, directly beside Latte-Tudes is the art gallery. Now, this is an area that I don't tend to dabble in on cruise ships, but to be honest, it was pretty similar to what I saw on Symphony of the Seas a few weeks before. And now on the other side of the ship, you've got the Centrum Shops. Now, this is the onboard shopping centre, and personally, I think they've done a really, really good job of this space. I found that on my cruise, which was around the Greek islands, it was never really too busy in the shops, even on the days when they had a promotion on. Now, my top tip, if you're looking to cruise on this ship or any Royal Caribbean ship, is just try and find out what promotions are going to be available throughout your cruise, because on the last days, you can quite often find significant reductions. Now, decks 7 and 8 are passenger cabins only, so we're going to move up to deck number 9. And the first venue that we're going to kick things off with up here is the Vitality Spa and Fitness Centre. Now, this spa is actually arranged over 2 floors, so this part of the video we're just going to look at the ground floor, so on deck 9. You've got an array of treatment rooms. You've then got this area here, which is the onboard beauty salon. So whether you're looking to come in here to get a manicure, a pedicure, any of those types of treatments, you can get them done here overlooking the ocean, which I'm sure you'll agree is an absolutely beautiful place to get anything done. Now, you then move to the very back of the ship and you've got this relaxation lounge, which is, I think, really nice. The views there, if you pan round, would let you look over the ocean. And then you've got the onboard thermal suite, so you've got the steam room and also a sauna over there. Now, this facility here is for men only, and they have the same for women only, and it's worth noting this is completely included in everybody's cruise fare. Now, they don't advertise that, so make sure you utilise these facilities because they're actually really, really good quality. Now, as I said, this venue is arranged over 2 floors. Now, upstairs is a fitness centre, and we'll come back to that when we move up to the next deck. Now, coming out of the spa, which is at the back of the ship, and heading slightly forward now, you've got the Solarium. So this is the indoor pool on board, and that roof there actually does retract. So on hot weather days, they can pull this roof back, although what I found on my cruise around the Greek islands is that usually they would just open the windows on either side to let air in here, but they would keep this as an enclosed pool. I'm not too sure why that would be the case, but yeah, if you're looking for the outdoor pool, then bear with me a sec. Now in here, you'll find regular coffee, decaf coffee, and also water and ice available all day. And during meal times, you'll have the Park Cafe open. Now, the Park Cafe is essentially where you can get pizza, you can get salad, you can get sandwiches, and they're available right here. Now, this is at the back of the Solarium. So as you walk in, just continue walking up to the back, and you'll come across this section here. Really handy if you get hungry in between dinner slots, or at the end of the night, if you want a pizza and it's midnight, then this will be open in here for you to come and relax. Now, in addition to the main heated pool, if I then spin the camera around here, you'll see that you've got one hot tub on the left hand side there, and you've got another hot tub on the right. These hot tubs throughout my cruise were certainly a lot quieter than the ones out on the main deck, so my advice is if you're looking for a quiet hot tub, head in here before checking the main sun deck. Now, at the very front of the Solarium, So directly opposite the Park Cafe, you've got the Solarium Cafe. So you can come here for a selection of like freshly pressed juices or just drinks from the bar. And down either side of the solarium, you'll find lots of indoor seating, so don't worry about struggling to find a chair. So let's get back outside into that Greek sunshine, and here is the main pool on Rhapsody of the Seas. Now I found this pool to be really generous given the size of ship, and I never ever struggled to get a lounger here. Now you will see when we go upstairs on the next deck, there's loads more sunbathing space up there, but there were so many loungers here that even on a sea day, our ship was cruising at full capacity, and even on a sea day, there were lots and lots of empty loungers. Now these are the other hot tubs. You can see they're pretty much identical to what's in the solarium, the only difference being they were much busier out here. Now, at the very front of the main pool area, you'll find the pool bar. So if you're looking for a drink and you don't want to go inside, then you can head over here. You've even got the benefit of that area being shaded as well. And down either side, heading towards the Windjammer buffet, you've then got the coffees, the ice and the water, and also the ice cream machine. So remember, it's unlimited free soft serve ice cream. So yeah, make sure you get over and try that. Now at the very front of the ship, I found this really unique actually for being at the front. This is the Windjammer, which is Royal Caribbean's trademark buffet on board. One thing that I would say about the Windjammer is that the chairs and tables were quite close together, and the chairs were heavy, so you quite often found that you'd be sort of squeezing to get in and out, but really comfortable for a cruise ship buffet. You can see here, there's lots and lots of serving counters, and I didn't have any issue with this area ever being too busy like I've seen in a lot of other cruise ships and a lot of other cruise lines. Now in the Windjammer, you've got water and ice, you've also got juice machines, and you've also got coffee available in here during mealtimes as well. And at that point, it takes us up to deck number 10. Now starting off at the very back of the ship, the first thing to look at is the rock climbing wall. Now this rock climbing wall is only open for a number of hours each day, so just make sure you check the desk or check your daily schedule to find out when this will be open, so that you don't turn up at the wrong time and then have to go away and come back. Now you can see it's got two sections. You can climb up and ring the first bell, or if you're feeling up to it, you can climb all the way to the top, and it's worth noting that you're fully harnessed in, so don't worry, completely safe. Now we're back inside. Now we're still at the very back of the ship, and this is the fitness centre. So if you remember, this is at the top of that staircase that's leading up from the spa. And whether it's cardio you enjoy doing on a cruise or whether it's weights that you enjoy doing on a cruise, I found that there was something for everybody in here. Now there was also this section here which allowed the team to run classes on board. So fitness classes usually are not included in your cruise. There's a small surplus charge with them, but you can find the schedule for whether it's yoga, Pilates, whatever it may be. You can find the schedule for that in your daily schedule, which will get delivered to your cabin or be on your iPhone, or just pop up to the gym and they'll be more than happy to tell you what's on which day. So yeah, the very top deck. Now this is the middle section of the ship. You can see here your vantage point over the main pools from this deck is absolutely fantastic. To be honest, this was my favourite place to spend a bit of time in the sun, because you're away from the chaos and the madness of that lower deck, where there's usually games, there's activities, there's events taking place during the day to keep everyone entertained, whereas up here, it's much quieter. Now, if you enjoy spending time on the top deck, but you're not really into sunbathing, then the jogging track might be right up your street. Now, from a distance point of view, you have to do 4 laps to cover a mile, which means 2.5 laps is 1 kilometre. Now this jogging track is marked in blue the whole way around the top deck, and they encourage anybody walking to walk on the left hand side of the track and anyone running to walk on the right hand side of the track. Now what that means is that if you're running, you don't then have to repeatedly stop because people are walking on the wrong side. And the other thing that's worth noting here is, as you can see in these images here, the jogging track is actually fully non-obstructed with sun loungers, so they are pretty far back. Some cruise ships you see, you're kind of squeezing through sun lounges and it's really difficult to run during the day. Now at the very front of this deck, you'll then find the deck games. So this here is Shuffleboard, you've got the rules on the wall, and then you've got the actual game stuck onto the floor, and you can find this on both the port and starboard sides of the ship at the front. Now the final point to mention about this deck, and not a lot of people actually make it up here to see that this is the case, but the views from here are absolutely outstanding. Now we were in port at the time of filming this, but you can imagine if you're at sea just how beautiful and how unique a view this really would be. Now, Adventure Ocean. So we're now back inside, we're still at the very front of this deck, and Adventure Ocean is the onboard kids club on Royal Caribbean. Now, for obvious reasons, I didn't take my camera in here to show you the detail of what's in these facilities due to the fact that it wouldn't be appropriate, and actually when I was filming they were closed anyway. Now, you've then got the teen centre, which is directly next door. Now, there's a couple of different spaces in here, but this is the main one, and this is the onboard lounge during the day for teens, or at night this would turn into like the onboard teen club. So this section usually would then be closed off at night. The activities in here also aren't advertised in the main daily schedule, so I would expect if you've got children, you'll receive adverts for this separately. Now directly next to that, you've got the video arcade. Now it's worth noting that if before your cruise you know that you're going to be in the arcade spending money, then you actually can preload your cruise card with arcade credit. Now if you do that, you'll get additional money to spend. So for example, if you preload your account with $30 worth of spend, you'll actually find that you'll get that topped up to $40 or $45 or whatever the figure may be. Now there's also a Royal Babies and Tots section up on this deck, and that's where you can send the youngest children to spend a bit of time supervised. Now, the Viking Crown Lounge. So we're on the second highest part of the ship now, and where we are now is actually overlooking that main pool deck, and this here is the onboard nightclub. Now the beauty of this being the onboard nightclub is that it's probably the furthest away from any passenger cabins that you could get. It's what I particularly like about this class of cruise ship, and this is also cut off from that main atrium section, so noise from up here doesn't really travel, which is really nice. Now, I didn't really use this venue on board due to the fact that we had a really good itinerary, which meant that, to be honest, the ship got quite quiet quite early because everyone was up first thing the following morning, but I have seen this venue on other ships and it does work really well. Now within that lounge, you've got the Concierge Club, so if you're booked into a concierge suite, that area would be available for you to go in and spend some time and to speak to the staff on duty in there. Now, Izumi. So this is the onboard Asian restaurant, which from what I could see specialised in sushi. Now, from looking at the menu, I'll leave you to make your mind up on this from a quality point of view, but I did find it to be quite an expensive option in comparison to what I've seen from other cruise lines, especially in Europe over the last couple of months. Now, I won't give you any more detail than that because I don't want to make your mind up for you, and I always think you should definitely try something before you knock it. So yeah, maybe you get on board and you try this restaurant and let me know what you think, if you enjoy it, or if you might agree that it's a little bit overpriced. I'd love to know what you think. And that is a really quick fly round Rhapsody of the Seas. I can't believe we've covered that in 24 minutes, but we have. So hopefully you've enjoyed this video. If you have, it would be brilliant if you could give it a thumbs up. And while you're there, please, why not think about subscribing to the channel and joining me on the rest of my adventures, showing you as many cruise ships all across the world as I can. But for now, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch up with all of you in my next video. Cheers guys, bye.